Every year, tens of thousands of investors make a pilgrimage to Omaha, Nebraska. They don't come for a concert. They don't come for a game. They come to hear one man speak. Warren Buffett. 93 years old. Still sharp. Still funny. Still dropping wisdom that Wall Street can't buy. But 2024 was different. For the first time in decades, Charlie Munger, Buffett's partner, his sounding board, his conscience, wasn't in that seat beside him. And with that absence hanging over the room, what Buffett said this year hit even harder. Today, we're breaking down the best quotes from the 2024 Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting, what they mean, why they matter, and what you can take away from them. Let's get into it. The room was buzzing. Berkshire had just revealed it sold over 115 million shares of Apple, its single largest holding. Shareholders were nervous. Was Buffett losing faith in Apple? His answer was calm, measured, and completely Buffett. Unless something dramatic happens that really changes capital allocation and strategy, we will have Apple as our largest investment. But I don't mind at all, under current conditions, building the cash position. Let that sink in. He's not abandoning Apple. He's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Berkshire's cash and treasury position had already reached $182 billion by the end of Q1 2024, and Buffett expected it to cross $200 billion by mid-year. The motley fool. His reason? Tax rates. Capital gains taxes were at 21%, historically low. With the federal deficit ballooning, Buffett saw the writing on the wall: taxes are going up. Sell now. Lock in the gains. Be ready to strike later. The lesson: patience and tax awareness aren't boring, they're billion-dollar advantages. Here's where Buffett dropped one of his most timeless baseball metaphors, and added a twist. We only swing at pitches we like. And we won't swing at a pitch simply because we haven't swung in a while. Buffett made clear that Berkshire would stay heavily in cash even if interest rates were just 1%, because discipline, not desperation, drives the strategy. Nasdaq. Think about how many investors make their worst decisions because they feel like they have to do something. The market's moving. Everyone's talking. You feel left out. Buffett calls that noise. Real investing, he says, is about waiting for the fat pitch, and having the guts to let everything else go by. The lesson: in action is a strategy. Don't let FOMO manage your money. When asked about AI, Buffett did something refreshing. He admitted he doesn't really understand it. But he didn't stop there. AI has enormous potential for good and enormous potential for harm. He compared AI to a genie being let out of a bottle, reminiscent of the dawn of nuclear weapons, with unintended consequences that no one can fully predict. CNBC. But here's the quote that really got people talking. Buffett had seen an AI-generated video of himself saying things he never said. He was shaken by how real it looked. And so he warned. Scamming has always been part of the American scene. He went further, warning that AI could make fraud and scams the growth industry of all time. Medium. This from a man who built his fortune on understanding human nature and business fundamentals. When Buffett says something is dangerous, it's worth paying attention. The lesson: even the greatest investor in history knows when something is beyond his circle of competence, and he says so out loud. At the end of the annual meeting's opening film, Buffett asked the staff to turn the lights on in the arena for Charlie Munger. Every one of the 30,000 shareholders in that room stood up. The ovation was deafening. Buffett spoke about his friend and partner with rare vulnerability. I trust my children and my wife totally, but that doesn't mean I ask them what stocks to buy. Charlie was the best person I ever knew to talk to about managing money. He called Munger the true architect of Berkshire Hathaway, saying that while Buffett was the general contractor doing the day-to-day work, it was Munger's vision that built the whole structure. That's the man who told Buffett to stop buying mediocre businesses at great prices and start buying great businesses at fair prices. That one piece of advice may be worth hundreds of billions of dollars today. The lesson: find your Charlie Munger. Surround yourself with people who make you better, and give them full credit. The elephant in the room, at 93 years old. Who comes next? Buffett has already named Greg Abel as his successor. But in 2024, he gave us a rare timeline hint. You don't have too long to wait on that. And then, with his trademark humor, he added, I feel fine, but I probably shouldn't sign any 4-year employment contracts. He also confirmed that Abel will be fully in charge of investing decisions, saying that responsibility ought to be entirely with the next CEO, putting to rest any questions about whether investment calls would be split between different managers. This matters for every Berkshire shareholder. And it's a masterclass in how to transition power, clearly, openly, and without drama. The lesson: plan your succession before you have to. Despite all the caution in the room, Buffett's faith in America never wavered. Not for a second. He praised Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell directly, calling him a very wise man. But he also gave a stark warning about something Powell can't fix alone. He doesn't control fiscal policy. And every now and then he sends out a disguised plea, because that's where the trouble will be, if we have it. Translation: the Fed can manage interest rates, but it can't fix runaway government spending. That's Congress's job, and Congress isn't doing it. Buffett's long-game optimism for America is unshakable, but he's not naive about the risks. The lesson: be a long-term optimist and a short-term realist. This one caught people off guard, because it had nothing to do with stocks. When asked about life advice for young investors, the 93-year-old Oracle of Omaha said, think about what you want your obituary to read, and then start selecting the education paths, social paths, spouse, and friends to get you where you want to go. That's not investment advice. That's life advice. From a man who has spent 9 decades doing exactly that, building a life around his values, his relationships, and his purpose. He didn't say, make the most money. He said, decide who you want to be, and work backwards. The lesson: design your life intentionally. Your decisions today are writing your story. Buffett made a losing bet on Paramount Global, and he didn't hide from it. When shareholders asked about it, he took full, unfiltered accountability. That was 100% my decision. We lost a lot of money. I was wrong. No excuses. No blame. No spin. Just, I was wrong. He sold Berkshire's remaining stake in Paramount, taking the loss and moving on. CNBC. In a world where executives write 12-page memos explaining why failure wasn't their fault, Buffett's 3 words, I was wrong, are revolutionary. The lesson: own your mistakes fast. Learn and move on. The cost of ego is far greater than the cost of being wrong. And finally, the way Buffett closed the meeting. After hours of questions, after markets, AI, succession, grief, and wisdom, he wrapped it all up with one last line that brought the house down. I not only hope you come next year. I hope I come next year. The crowd laughed. Then they gave him a standing ovation. That's Warren Buffett. 93 years old, still the most honest voice in investing, still finding the humor in everything, including his own mortality. The 2024 shareholder meeting was a reminder that great investing isn't just about numbers. It's about character, patience, humility, knowing what you know, and knowing what you don't. If you got value from this video, smash that like button and subscribe. We break down the best ideas from the world's greatest investors every week. Drop your favorite Buffett quote in the comments. I'd love to hear which one hit hardest for you. See you in the next one.